want to be a star, don't you? Then take it off! Yeah.
Hollywood insiders claim that Family Guy has joined the growing number of shows that are making fun of Rachel's glare and the Snow White catastrophe, adding another vicious twist to her public nightmare. The creators of Family Guy are dismissing any possible criticism of their vicious Snow White spoof with the straightforward defense that we're just telling jokes.
Chris, that's going in the show. See that, Brian? Don't be afraid to pull a heartstring.
No regrets, no walkbacks, simply unrepentant derision of Rachel Disney and the entire situation.
Well, that's what they get for supporting Israel.
The timing couldn't be worse for Rachel, who is still in shock over The Simpsons' Snow Woke jab and South Park's brutal Panderverse special. Now, she finds herself roasted once more with Family Guy's trademark loud, chaotic, no-filter humor, and rumors in the animation community indicate that the writers don't intend to slow down.
So much fun it should be illegal, by copyright infringement. Ho-ho! See you at the game, Joel!
If anything, witnessing the outpouring of audience support for their Disney takedown in one of the most talked-about scenes has given them even more confidence. A Family Guy made fun of Disney's troubles by showing a roller coaster with the name Disney stock plummeting into the abyss, while Peter Griffin watched in confusion. Another joke perfectly captured the cultural whiplash, with Peter unsure of the character's identity and exclaiming, "What is everything?" The line quickly became a viral meme.
Wow, that girl's hot.
That's a guy.
That other guy's handsome.
That's a girl.
That cat is cute.
That's a dog.
What is everything?
And Rachel's glare, who wasn't even specifically mentioned, became the living embodiment of all the criticism. It's another devastating blow when even shows like Family Guy, the kings of unapologetic mockery, start treating your downfall as comedy gold. According to sources close to the production, the Family Guy team views the backlash surrounding Rachel not as something to avoid, but as evidence that they hit the mark. They reportedly believe they're channeling what a large portion of the audience feels, but hasn't seen reflected in mainstream media: frustration, exhaustion, and anger at constant reboots and lectures dressed up as entertainment. Not only is this a difficult time, but it's also a cultural lock-in that indicates the jokes won't stop anytime soon. Handpicked by Steven Spielberg, Rachel Zegler's career seemed destined for a fairy tale conclusion. She was selected to star in Disney's live-action Snow White and received accolades for her breakthrough performance in West Side Story. Everything was pointing to her becoming Hollywood's next unstoppable actress. But the dream turned into a very public nightmare somewhere between the interviews, press tours, and growing societal backlash. Insiders claim that Rachel has evolved into something much more than a movie star and has come to represent everything that people believe is wrong with contemporary Hollywood. It didn't happen all at once. Initially, there were awkward remarks about how the prince was a stalker and how the 1937 Snow White was strange. Her version would have focused on leadership and self-empowerment rather than love. These sound bites might have gone unnoticed in a different era, but in today's media landscape, which is already primed for outrage over constant reboots and forced moral lectures, the clips went viral and were stitched into viral memes by Talk. YouTube critics dissected every word. Fans who once eagerly lined up for Disney magic started asking a much harder question: do they even like the stories they're remaking anymore? Rachel quickly found herself at the center of that cultural storm, not because she single-handedly caused it, but because she became the face of it, a talented actress caught in a perfect storm of bad timing, corporate overreach, and exhausted audiences who were tired of being scolded instead of entertained. When Family Guy decided to take aim at Disney's Snow White disaster, they didn't just land a few soft punches, they unleashed a full comedy blitzkrieg. And according to insiders close to the animation world, Disney executives were blindsided by how precise and devastating the mockery turned out to be. The first shot was almost elegant in its simplicity. In one scene, Peter Griffin wanders through Disneyland confused and bewildered, but the real punchline wasn't what he said, it was what the audience saw in the background. A roller coaster labeled Disney's golden period may be coming to an end, and its never-ending parade of reimagined classics may have contributed to the crash. Then came the identity confusion, as the stock fell precipitously in a free fall. Gag Peter observes television and offers commentary. Wow, that girl is hot. He is corrected by his friend who says, that's a boy. It keeps happening until Peter yells, what is everything? In complete confusion and overwhelm. Everyone jumped on a statement that nearly immediately went viral on social media because it wasn't just funny. It felt real and encapsulated the cultural whiplash that viewers have been experiencing due to quick redefinitions, constant innovations, continuous identity rewrites, all the while Hollywood anticipates uncritical acclaim before Family Guy has even honed their blades. By proxy, South Park had already launched a missile directly at Disney and Rachel Zegler. Their participation in the Pandaverse special wasn't just a roast. Rather, it was a full-scale scorched earth dismantling of the entire formula that had caused Disney's reputation to plummet. In the special, a character modeled after Kathleen Kennedy, the Disney executive frequently held responsible for the company's recent setbacks, is given a mystical artifact known as the Panda Stone, which forces her to include diverse women in every franchise, regardless of the story's context or audience connection. The message was overt. The most damaging blow to South Park was when Kathleen Kennedy proudly uttered the now famous phrase, "Put a chick in it and make her gay." That one line quickly went viral, encapsulating every cliched remake and meaningless representation play. As if the animated takedowns weren't enough, a real-life incident at a public panel discussion further cemented Disney's humiliation. After selling his favorite franchise to Disney, George Lucas was questioned about the company's treatment of Star Wars, grinning a little. Lucas mentioned in passing how things had evolved, and how some choices didn't precisely align with his initial idea. The audience laughed uncomfortably at first, but then more intensely when they understood that Lucas wasn't being subtle, and that the message was obvious. Even Lucas, who had previously trusted Disney, had to admit that Disney executives were disappointed, and were already frantically trying to contain the Snow White backlash. As if the fallout from Snow White wasn't enough, insiders now claim that Disney's next big live-action gamble is already under siege, with Rachel Zegler's name at the center of it. They claimed that Lucas's little jab was a brutal reminder of what they had lost. Not just fans or box office supremacy, but trust and cultural credibility as well. Once that credibility is broken, no amount of marketing can patch it back together. The awkward laughter spread faster than any official Disney trailer. And for Rachel Zegler, it was another devastating shift in the story. Rachel is being considered by Disney to star in their upcoming live-action Tangled remake, and if fan feedback is any indication, the backlash has already started before a single frame has been taken. The numbers alone are astounding, and it looks like Tangled will be Disney's most costly live-action remake to date, with estimates exceeding $500 million. $500 million is being staked on the idea that moviegoers still reeling from Snow White's collapse will embrace another reinvented classic after production and marketing are taken into account. But early fan feedback indicates Disney is poised to enter yet another buzzsaw. When Rachel's alleged attachment made headlines, social media went crazy. Within hours, hashtags like #NotMyRapunzel and Save Tangled began to trend, and comment sections were flooded with tired people asking why everything needed to be modernized, and why we can't just leave one Disney princess alone. Fans are fed up with contempt for source material lectures that are disguised as scripts and marketing campaigns that feel more like reprimands than celebrations. There are awkward moments, and then there are moments that are so painfully symbolic that they define an entire PR disaster for Rachel Zegler. Insiders claim that the frustration isn't just about Rachel personally, but also about what she now represents to a large portion of the audience, fairly or unfairly. That moment arrived when she unintentionally gave the internet one of its cruelest tools of the year, when she entered a nearly deserted theater to celebrate the release of her own film. She shared a brief Instagram story with a bouquet of flowers in hand, entering the theater as though it were a miniature red carpet event. But behind her were rows and rows of empty seats, with only a few scattered spectators. The internet quickly noticed the silence, and within hours, TikTok was overflowing with edits of the clip. Some made jokes about Rachel bringing flowers to her own career's funeral, while others stitched her walk into empty theaters with Family Guy's Disney stock plummeting roller coaster. Reddit threads titled, "The Loneliest Premiere in Disney History," appeared on Twitter, along with memes referring to it as Snow White in the 7 empty seats. Insiders claim that a deeper resentment has been simmering for many longtime Disney fans behind the memes and empty theaters. Rachel's glare started to represent a greater source of annoyance. Hollywood's preoccupation with identity politics over narrative began with the casting of Snow White, who has historically been characterized as having skin as white as snow in everything from the Brothers Grimm to Disney's own 1937 animated classic. When Disney cast a Latina actress, it sparked controversy right away. Some fans celebrated the move as progress, but a loud, passionate segment of the audience saw it differently. They weren't angry about representation itself. They were angry at what they perceived as rewriting a classic character, while simultaneously treating the original as problematic, and Rachel's interviews didn't help. Rather than expressing excitement for bringing her own spirit to the role, she openly criticized the original Snow White story, calling it weird, labeling the prince a stalker, and hinting that the classic love story needed to be scrapped. Just when you think the roasting might finally cool down, insiders say the next blow could already be looming from The Simpsons, the longest-running and arguably most culturally trusted animated series in television history. If they take aim at the Snow White disaster, it won't just be another meme, it could be the final nail in the fairy tale coffin. Because when The Simpsons joins a roast, it doesn't feel like internet noise anymore, it feels like history being written in yellow ink, broadcasted to millions, locked into the DNA